Hello and welcome back to the OPL for this round 6, which is another super week. My name is Michael Hingising and I'm joined here by Jish and also Juves. If you're just joining us, AV were too strong for Regicide, beating them 2-0 in that match. We're about to get into our, I would say, close to the match of the week, given it is the top of the table clash. It is Legacy taking on Direwolves. And this is a, I'm going to say it again, a rematch of last Split's grand final. Jish.
Yeah, I don't know how you get closer to a better match than, first place, second sort of thing. Both teams have looked pretty good, I think, and it should be an exciting match.
Yeah, you could probably watch on Sunday Sin Chiefs. Probably a better match.
Yep, way better match.
Hype it up, boys.
This match is probably could be a match of the season, really. In the context of things, in the context of the ladder, and where each team is as a team.
Well. When you speak about context, let's give it a bit of context, shall we? Direwolves have dropped 2 games in the last couple of best of 3s. Meanwhile, Legacy have not dropped a game since Rift Rivals. So there's a bit of a buff for one team coming out of Rift Rivals, maybe not the other.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of want to you want to say, oh yeah, but Legacy had easy games. Then you're like, oh wait, no, they're 2-0 Chiefs.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are looking
a very
pretty
difficult game.
No, yeah. Wait, was it that difficult? I don't know. Hey, yeah, no, they've looked pretty good recently. Maybe a bit slower against Abyss, we thought, but still obviously good enough to get 2-0. And Direwolves, I think, have actually, opposite, maybe didn't get as much experience, or we've talked about like the international buff or whatever. Haven't looked as good coming back. A couple 2-1s. I don't know.
The thing that I look at when I look at losses is Direwolves lost 2 games, but they actually that means they had 2 games of learning. Like you can learn from every game, but like I feel like when you lose, you learn the most.
Yeah.
You learn a lot from winning too, but obviously I just think learning, you just learn.
Well, when you losing, as someone who loses a lot, you're very motivated to learn, right?
Exactly.
So you want to get there and open up the books.
Sometimes winning could be dangerous.
He said it.
That was why we lost. That's why we lost Legacy.
All right, well, let's talk about some individual players, shall we? Because I know a lot of people are hyping up both of these mid laners, Claire versus Fantix. And as we bring up this graphic, I want to ask you guys, I mean, who is the best mid laner in OS? You can't say the mid laner on your team, by the way. So you can't say Swiffer or Rihanna.
How about you say Ryoma? I'll say Swiffer.
Okay. All right, so who's best mid laner?
Swiffer, for sure.
Yeah, best mid laner is Ryoma.
I hate it. I hate it. Well, I mean, you got to say, look, Claire, after his performance last week, looking very, very good. As you look at these stats, I know we were talking about it before, you had a very interesting comment about his champs.
Yeah, so I guess more on topic is that Claire has played a variety of champions, and we've seen he can play, right now in front of us, we see literally 3 different styles. Like the control mage, the more supportive mage, and then the assassin. Other side of the coin, Fantix plays Corki, and Corki, and Corki.
But importantly, like you were saying, about that average damage champions percent, despite the differences of champion picks.
Yeah, so we probably expect to see less damage share coming out of Claire if he's going to play more support-centric champions. And, if Fantix is only playing team-fighting champions, you probably want to set that a little bit higher. So that's, I guess, probably in Claire's favor there, really.
Yeah, I would say that Claire's come to this split. I would say he's put forth a big case of him being the best mid laner in OS right now, especially with the damage dealt and the champion versatility that he's got. So it'll be an interesting matchup in the mid lane.
Absolutely. But elsewhere on the map, I know I want to talk about top lane as well, because we've got 2 top laners, right? Tally going into Chippies. I mean, obviously, we've got 2 top laners.
Normally, you have 2 top laners.
Interesting. All right. Okay. Go on. No, but what I want to talk about is how they have kind of differing styles. We've talked about before how Tally has not been happy with his performances in some of the games this split. And he has kind of, I would think, he's not known as a laner in the way that Chippies is. Chippies is known as a guy who wins lanes. But conversely, Tally, much more happy to play the role that the team wants him to. Chippies just likes to play carry.
It's funny because when Tally role swapped the top lane initially, there was a lot of talks of him being like, yeah, this mechanical top laner, really good
at mechanics crew,
laning. Yeah. But whereas I think it's not necessarily Tally's laning that's bad, it's just that they don't prioritize top lane. Like if you're constantly being picked into counter matchups, like you're probably going to look like an average top laner just doing your job because you're not solo killing, you're not 1v5 carrying a game, you're just doing what your team needs you to do. And I rate that like highly, mainly because like that's what I do and like, but I think that it takes a special type of top laner in person to be happy with sacrificing his lane for the team.
Yeah, I think Legacy have clearly shown a shift and a preference to play more towards their bottom lane. Lost is looking like stellar at the moment, and as a result, like they can only allocate their resources like so thinly, I guess. So Tally has taken a step back. He takes the Gnar blind pick and he lets Lost carry him.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at this Legacy lineup, shall we? Their top laner, who we just spoke about, is Tally. Their jungler and captain is Carbon. Wearing the glasses today, interestingly. Their mid laner, potentially the best mid laner in OS, is Claire, and their bot lane is made up of Lost, supported by Cupcake. And these guys looking happy. You know what I liked about them? They all lined up in their cameras the same way. None of this like leaning back in the chairs so people are off camera. They did it well. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying it looked very good.
I've noticed actually a trend. The more that they're wearing glasses, the better they are.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, I need to get my team some glasses or something.
Juice, would you say that people who wear glasses are smarter than people who don't wear glasses?
No.
Come on, man.
I mean, like,
Do you want to wear these for a second? Or
statistically and scientifically, I have the highest IQ on this desk.
All right, let's take a look at Legacy's opponents. They're going to be taking on the Direwolves today. And their top laner is Chippies, who we already spoke about today. Their jungler is Schönfire. Their mid laner is Fantix. Then their bot lane is made up of King, supported by Destiny, who's kind of darkened his hair since last we spoke, I think. Or maybe it's just a sweet haircut. I can't quite tell.
Is that an Aegim cosplay?
Is it
Going for the dyed hair?
Sorry, that really tickled
If only
me.
he could play as well as him too.
The Aegim cosplay. And Aegim, as we know, is cosplaying as the basis for My Chemical Romance. But let me get your guys' predictions for this match as we go into a Legacy versus Direwolves top of the table clash. Jish, who's going to take it?
We've been practicing against both of them a lot recently, and so I have more knowledge from maybe behind the scenes.
Sure.
But I think that in recent showings, despite the fact that Legacy have looked a little bit cleaner on paper, I feel as though Direwolves will have this one. It's going to be close. I'm going to say 2-1, but I definitely think Direwolves take it. Oh, you look smart.
Apparently, you're smarter with glasses on. So I'm going to go with the Legacy 2-1. I'm just going to change it up. I'm going to spice it up.
You think Legacy will take this over last split's champs?
Hey, they've got glasses. They've got 3 pairs of glasses.
True. All right. Well, I can't argue with that logic. They certainly do have more glasses on their team. Let's take a look at your tips at opltips.com.au. And Direwolves heavy favourites, but I will say almost 80% of people, just over 80% of people, think that it's going to be a 3-game series. And a third of people still think that Legacy can take it. And so I think you're the man of the people today, Jish. And Jubes, you are, as always, a rebel.
Without a cause.
I'm a goblin.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, earlier this week, we sat down with both the teams ahead of their this top-of-the-table clash. And let me tell you, a certain support player really pops off in this interview. So let's see what he had to say.
I think that we are the favourites going into the Direwolves match. I think we'll have an advantage if the scrims continue to go how they have been going. I think we will be the favourites heading into that match.
The game against Legacy is going to be our hardest fought win of the split. They're obviously undefeated, we're undefeated. I think whoever wins this game sets them up to win the OPL split.
If we win, we secure first seed for pretty much the rest of the split, and it'll just like cement and let all the other teams know that we're still the best.
Direwolves hammer on towards the Nexus. They can taste it. They feel that they are the new champions here in Oceania as Direwolves will represent the OPL at MSI 2017.
It really hurt when we lost to them last split, but when I look back at it now, I sort of see like the Direwolves that we versed in regular season versus the Direwolves in grand finals was a completely different beast.
It feels like the first split, they didn't care as much, and now like everyone's trying way harder as if like, that's not how it works, you know, you're meant to like, it's meant to be a build up upon the year. You don't just try hard when 2 weeks from the exam.
Direwolves came to Vietnam with us and we played most of the same teams. For me, it feels like we had a better showing than them, especially in our game against GAM.
Rift Rivals was a big wake-up call for us again because we lost twice to them. It felt like we were closer, much closer than MSI.
Their mentality has been shaken up a bit by their performance at Rift Rivals, and then against AV, that 2-1 victory that they had was far from a confident performance by them, and we'll be able to punish that.
We're not too worried about what they'll pick because I think they have a pretty defined style, and usually when they stick to that style, they play their best, and if they don't, they tend to crumble.
What was their game average last split? It was like 35 minutes or something. Like, even against bad teams, they can't end before 30, and it just like speaks for how good they are.
The only time we face adversity is in international tournaments, and then it goes away and it's just like, oh, it's just a bad dream, and then people forget about it because, oh, we're back to versing these easy teams in O's, so.
The way that they conduct themselves as a team, I disagree with. I think they're very arrogant. I think their views are slightly skewed and they lack clear leadership, and they're the team that you would want to beat.
Their expectations are in line with what viewers or Reddit thinks, which is really annoying because they think so small.
What they have to say means less than nothing to me. Like, they're just a good team, and it's just more, they're more just like an obstacle for me to get to Worlds.
I don't really care if they're happy with making it past here, making it past there. I know what I want. I don't really care what anyone else wants or the community wants. I'm gonna take what I want.
Ooh, there's some shots fired coming up from both those teams there, Spawn. My goodness, I don't know who's got the harsher words, Legacy or Direwolves.
It was so funny because last week we have Chiefs versus Legacy. We see the feature and we're like, wow, that was like two really well-mannered teams. And Carbon was like, yeah, you know, I think we've matured a little bit. You know, it's about the game now and it's not really about these off-the-rift antics. Like, throw all that out the window. Whoever wins this game now has bragging rights for a very long time, Fish, because that was some hot fire.
It certainly was. Both the Direwolves and Legacy are definitely out for blood here today, and we're getting into champion select for game number 1 of this best of 3 series. Both of them top of the table. Legacy, after their impressive run since Rift Rivals looking good, Direwolves since Rift Rivals have been dropping games.
And I said earlier today, Fish, that if you take a swing at Hingers, you better not miss, because you only get one shot at the champ. Well, Legacy, they took their shot at Direwolves last split, and they fell on their ass. I mean, they got absolutely smashed in that final. And they have come out, and they have some fighting words. Sure, they are the top of the table, but this is the only time these two teams will play in the regular season. And they must win this game if they want to be top seed.
Historically, though, in the past few splits, Legacy have always looked good in the regular season. Last split, however, Direwolves dominated the scene. Legacy definitely will be confident coming to this after 2-0 victories over both the Chiefs as well as Abyss.
And I love that we're flicking between Fantix and Claire. Fantix burst onto the scene. He was a top laner for a while for the Direwolves while Sharp was on their mid lane roster. Then became their starting mid laner, and he's an absolute freak show. Claire, I mean, he had his stint in the LJL. He was in the OCS. He played a couple of games. He flirted in and out, came on land, and he was so nervous. But in the last few months has a rove in the OPL as like maybe the best mid laner we have. And going against each other, this is an awesome matchup.
I mean, we saw Claire fall to first blood against the Chiefs, came back strong and dominated that lane against Swiffer. But for now, let's check in with the bans that have come through for the two teams. Thresh Talon as well as Trumdor banned out by Legacy. Direwolves take away Zac, Callista, and Zaya. Double bans thrown towards Lost. That left Maokai open, picked up by Legacy. We'll have to see if that's a jungler or top laner, as well as Caitlyn and Sejuani for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I mean, with the Cho'Gath, Maokai, Sejuani all open, they go towards the tank jungler still, or potentially a top laner, depending on how you flex it. That gives over Caitlyn, who is still probably the best AD carry, at least in terms of lane pressure. But in saying that, Legacy, they pick up more of a kill threat in the Tristana, coupling up with Braum. Interesting lane.
Yep, this used to be one of the other kill lanes that was very popular in solo queue. So curious to see how Lost and Cupcake execute this one.
Yeah, I'm interested that they didn't go towards Rakan. Maybe Cupcake just doesn't play it all that much?
Potentially. Legacy have always been big favourites of the Braum pick in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it though, Fish.
And is this going to be an early rotation Jax pick? We've seen this on red side quite a few times, and it is for the Direwolves. Now they can ban out the counters to the champion.
Certainly can. I mean, there's not all that too many that come to mind. If you take a carry into him, he's able to duel them. We saw that with the Jarvan matchup last game, although that was definitely a misplay out of series. That makes sense. I mean,
first ban of Gnar.
Yeah, potentially, you know, something like an Aurelia back in the day used to give him a little bit of a hard time.
He's just found a very comfortable spot in the current tank meta on Jackson has.
Because you give away free lanes. Like, pretty much, TLDR, unless you have a high-pressure jungler, something like an Elise, if you pick tank top lane, you give away a free lane. That's why we used to say things like Gangplank played into it. You know, there's been mutterings of, you know, some mages coming back in the top lane. You know, Jax up there as well. He's just able to farm out against some Fish, and then he eventually becomes a wrecking ball.
Well, let's see what the next few bans are going to be. Jace has been taken away by the Direwolves. We've seen Legacy threaten to play that for Claire a few times.
Yeah, he also played it. Played it well. Chiefs, of course, lost all 3 bans in the first game. And, taking away the
Cassidy as well as Taric banned out by Legacy.
Yeah, Rick is gone.
Destiny will pick up Janna in this match.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, you've already got 2 threats that want to dive towards your backline in the Braum as well as the Maokai. Being able to shove them back, get a hard reset, gives you a good 4-man unit, and also hides Fantix's last pick. That is a fresh haircut coming out of Destiny right there.
The Ejim cosplay, as the desk called it. I mean, something about our supports and dyeing the hair black.
certainly is. It's because I have to play these champions, Fish. They're in mourning. No one wakes up in the morning and is like, whoo, Janna, give me that pick.
Well, Destiny will be picking up the champion. Let's see what Legacy's final pick is going to be. Orianna picked up by Claire, a very comfortable champion for him. And Direwolves again holding Fantic's pick for last.
Yeah, I mean, now that Orianna's picked up, you can just take something like Corki into the mid lane, you know, really cement that team fighting. You could also take something like a Victor and just, you know, have a little bit more wave clear and a pretty easy lane.
Gragas, the final pick for Legacy. Still unsure if it's going to be a top lane or jungle Gragas.
I think it has to be top lane Gragas. It's going to have a much easier time against the Jax. Gragas kind of known as like the top lane nullifying effect. And it's going to be Corki. I mean, that was...
Surprise!
Yeah. I, for one, am shocked.
Katsunen banned? Corki left open? Fantic's last 3 champions played? Corki. Illuminati going on here in the OPL.
But they have a very good 5v5 team comp right now out of the Legacy lineup. They're a big death ball. That is the way that man on your screen, Carbon, has liked to play historically.
Yep.
And on the other side of the Direwolves, it's much more 1-4. It's much more chippies. You do your thing. You pull Tally away from the team. Win lane will give you a little bit of help up there, you know, maybe a package or something like that. And then this 4-man unit has enough wave clear, enough negative setup, you know, with Sejuani ult, Janna ult, as well as traps and the mobility of the AD carries to be able to survive.
I'm curious to see how this one goes. Direwolves again sticking to their 1-4 style team composition with a bit of push potential from Shinetix. He's picked up the heal here today. I know you're not a big fan of heal Corki.
Yeah, I mean, I've been told by every mid laner and every coach that heal and teleport Corki are a necessity into certain matchups. If you don't take exhaust and static shiv Fish, I just don't know why you play the champion.
Yeah, but it's, you know, Fantix, you know, is that
okay?
okay?
He's my favorite, yeah. Richard Su can do whatever he wants. I am a massive Richard Su fan. He won me Origin. I mean, the man can do no wrong. In 2 roles, Fish, he might be the best player in the OPL. He is an absolute jet.
Oh, he's been playing a few great Corki games so far for the Direwolves. Have to see how this one goes. Up against Claire, he's picked up Orianna, a very comfortable champion for him, and whenever we see Claire look comfortable, he looks really good.
Funnily enough, I'm also a massive Claire fan. I mean, everyone that has ever followed Claire knows that I'm a big proponent of the way he plays League of Legends. Historically, he has had a really fun champion pool to play around. I think that the Orianna pick, I mean, in this composition just makes so much sense, and as long as he's able to get good ultimates on, you know, either the Corki or the Caitlyn, he's going to set his team up for some good success.
Well, let's see if Claire can do just that for Legacy as we head on to Summoner's Rift for the first match of this best-of-3 series. But before we break down the action, let's check in with Serianne, who's standing by with Legacy's coach, Soul Strikes.
Thanks, guys. I'm standing here with Soul Strikes from Legacy. Now, the Direwolves are your biggest threat in the competition. So how have you, as a coach, mentally prepared the team heading into this series?
We've obviously reviewed all our games against Chief and Abyss. There were a bit holes in our like macro game during mid to late game, so we've been doing a lot of fixing, not a lot of new stuff.
So looking at the Direwolves composition for this game, what do you think the biggest danger is that you face?
I kind of expected Direwolves to play like early game, but they picked very late game, which is something that we like to play, and it's going to be very interesting how they're going to do during the mid to late game, because I think we definitely have the upper edge during mid to late game.
Cool. Well, best of luck with the game, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
All right, cheers.
There you go, the big brain himself. He's just got an absolute massive
brain. No, he has said generic buzzwords the whole time. I don't think he has told us anything.
I agree.
Yes, we know Legacy like to play team fights. They have a very team fight-oriented comp. I mean, the only thing he kind of gave away was we thought they were going to play early game.
And they didn't. Meanwhile, Tally's been able to spot out this red buff start coming out from Shermfire, who gets a big leash from Chippies.
Yeah, just a drive-by from the Fat Man. And they've actually... Shern only has taken 1 auto attack, 2 now.
I mean, he used the power. Oh, he smites it as well. He's at full health.
Yeah.
That's a bit greedy, but okay.
I mean, it makes sense. You don't ever want to be invaded if you're playing one of these tank junglers. You can go for a very early 3 camp if you want as well. And see if you can get some ganks off, because Sejuani, of course, does have great CC at this stage of the game.
Hunter Salesman just helps out junglers so well, and Raptors whenever they have any form of AoE clear, which Sejuani has plenty of. We also saw Fantix lose his Valk at level 1 because he picked it up to escape a gank, but it doesn't seem like it's hurt him too much in this lane. Still pushing out quite nicely against Orianna.
Yeah, exactly right. And Claire probably wants it shoving in at this stage, probably wants to be able to reverse it off the turret and trying to apply some pressure in that way. Claire's, I mean, I actually speak really highly of a lot of the mid laners in O's, but I think Claire is someone that people really hyped up coming into the OPL. When he was playing in the LJLCS league, he was that good that there were forum posts about the guy scripting when he was climbing. He is just an incredible talent. And I think that people kind of watched his first couple of weeks and were disappointed with how he was performing in the OPL. And he was certainly disappointed himself. But ever since he's had that first awesome week versus the Chiefs in Split 1, he has certainly improved. And I think that this is a young man that's finally coming online. Obviously, he was a Melbourne boy. He moved up from Melbourne to Sydney to be with the team. Legacy was a new team for him. He'd been previously on Legacy Genesis with Impaired, but that was such a long time ago. And I'm happy to see that he's finally getting some work done as Carbon's taking a visit down into this bottom lane.
Looking for a very aggressive gank. Cupcake jumps forward, gets the tag, flashes on him as well. King's going to get locked down. No more flash available him. Good exhaust coming out, but that's going to be first blood picked up by Lost.
Yeah, fantastic gank coming out of Carbon. I can't stress that enough. He does a quick clear, and they think he's going to be topside. However, he paths back down bottom. He's able to pick up a kill for the best player on his team right now in Lost. And if there is an area for Legacy to be able to exploit, it is King and Destiny. They have certainly not been playing to the level that we expect out of previously the best team in the OPL. And that's certainly a title that has now been claimed by the Kiwis over on Legacy's lineup.
Yep, Lost and Cupcake have been looking fantastic throughout Split 1 as well as Split 2. We just checked in top side of the map. This is why a lot of players pick Gragas into the Jax. He can cancel the stun coming out from Jax.
Also, the fact that he's pushing up so hard, as you noticed, I mean, we've had lots of different kind of adaptations for Gragas' mana issues come out. You know, more meditation pickup if you're in the top lane. Maybe you go towards a Sheen early or something like that. Some people are still going for 3 rings, although both of us aren't fans of that fish.
Nope.
And I think that Tally's showing just what the pushing power can give you in this lane.
He's doing fine so far. Burnt through all corrupting potions of Chippies, has more health, just low on mana, and still has both his health potions available.
Sherm waiting over the wall, wants to be able to go for this gank, but you can see actually has to abandon because Chippies is shoving up now, and Tally just knows that he's not going to lose any CS, so why would he ever approach that creep wave fish?
Yep, Tally doing absolutely fine top side of map. Will clear out this wave and should teleport with Chippies back into lane, or they could just both walk back if they choose to do so. But well played by both of them so far. Carbon in the jungle. He's picked up Maokai. We've already addressed that this is a very tank-heavy meta. It kind of feels like it's helped Carbon out quite a bit in the latter half of Split 2.
Yeah, it's really funny, right? Because historically, if Carbon ever found people in, you know, a Rengar or an Elise meta, he was really comfortable. And it was generally Spooks and the Chiefs that dominated tanks metas. However, like, I mean, if it went super utility, like Nunu, obviously Carbon was very comfortable. But, you know, the likes of Gragas running around in the jungle as...
Oh, my goodness. Jumping straight on King's face. This is what we want to see from Braum Tristana. Gets the reset. That's going to be another kill in the bottom lane for Lost. And they're going to go straight towards this Janna. Tags him. He's flashed away. No more summoner spells left up. Can they get it? They get the slow as well. Good damage from them. The shield just too strong.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, they still force him out, and that can be a potential turret dive. This is right now huge for the Legacy bottom lane. I mean, they're up in CS, they're up in experience.
Ooh.
Shoot Shockwave.
Forces the Valkyrie coming out of Fantix. Just not enough mana for Claire.
Yeah, I mean, but he's shoved him back, Fish, and if you're able to get him back before 8 minutes, I think is the first package time, it does kind of muck him up a little bit. Flash not available for Carbon, so it's just going to be a drive-by from the Christmas tree. Maybe have some presents in the lane. No presents. Unfortunate. But as you can see, he shoves him out. Now it's big pressure on Chippies because if he doesn't start putting in work, his whole map is collapsed.
As we said, Jax has a few really good matchups. Gragas is not one of them. He does well in this lane, and Chippies has to be careful because there's a big tree coming from the top lane. Legacy's captain locks him down. He tries to leave strike away, but shoves him back in. And Chippies will be able to escape with his life there. But still, that bottom lane, Tristana Braum, it's something that was very popular in solo queue when Braum first came out as a kill lane. For that reason, the resets as well as the jumping to one another. As soon as your flash is down, you're good as dead.
And look at this. The lane's pushing back again because it hit turret one more time, Fish. Can't stress this enough. They've been able to, every single time they get a kill, shove it in, break the freeze, and get a recall.
Fair play to King, though. Even if Lost picks up this entire wave, he's only 7 CS behind. Tally gets good damage top side. The saplings explode on Chippy's face. He's got no more crafting potions, and it's a Bramble Vest very early for Tally.
Yeah, exactly right. I like this. All of a sudden, the auto-attack trades, they're going to be a little bit harder, Fish. You can go towards that big defensive tank item in the Thornmail. And it's going to kind of help shut down Fantix and King as this game progresses as well.
I mean, everyone from the Direwolves relies on auto attacks quite heavily, except for Shermfire, you would have to say, to deal damage.
I would say Destiny doesn't really need him either.
Yeah, that's true.
He's just not going to do damage
He's just
regardless.
not going to do damage.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens here. So we expected a lot more top laners to pick up the Bramble Vest very early, but I believe this is one of the first games we've actually seen that.
Kill him nearly.
Yeah,
Where's the
Tally
ulti?
slap him, knocks him back. Chippies is forced to flash away from a Gragas.
And this is a guy that the Death said, you know, not known for his laning fish. And I was expecting the same thing, but Tally, I mean, he turns it on. And I think it's a favorable matchup for the Gragas, but still, to burn a flash off Chippies, that is an absolutely massive deal. And Churn, I mean, that's a force.
Yep, going for the force against Claire. Locks him down. They should be able to pick up a kill. He flashes late. Shockwave out of the blue. Not going to do much, but there are teleports coming down.
And they're on the wrong side of the map.
They've thrown out the roots. Let's see if the collapse from the bottom lane is fast enough. Locks down both the jungler as well as the mid laner. Carbon in some trouble, taking heavy damage. Good smite to keep him alive. Tally jumps in with the body bomb. Chippy's the first to fall. They stun lock Shermfire, but there goes Lost. Looking for Fantix. Splashes on his face for it as well. Good damage coming out from this Estrada. Well and truly accelerated, as that's a double kill for Lost, making it his 4th kill this game.
And we saw this against the Chiefs. Legacy look like they're in a sticky spot. Claire should have flashed way earlier. He shouldn't have died. But even though it is a mismatch in numbers, Legacy's duo lane rotates first. And that means they're able to pick up another 2 kills. Probably going to give him access to an Infernal Drag nice and early in the game, just because of how strong Lost is right now. And Direwolves look shook. They're down 1,000 gold at 10 minutes.
Infernal Drake for Tristana as well as an Orianna. This is disaster for the Wolfpack. And here's that force from Shermfire.
Yeah, and that should be a flag. I mean, Claire should not get hit by that. So, you know, Claire, he dies in a situation that he shouldn't. But they're already moving. Look at where Braum is, look at where Tristana is, versus where the Caitlyn, where the Janna is. So even though teleport is good from Chippies, he makes it here in time, it is still numbers for the Legacy lineup, and I can't stress how important this is. If they can continually rotate early to these team fights, doesn't matter if you lose 5 or 6 CS fish, because picking up kills at this stage of the game is way more important.
I mean, Lost picked up all the kills for Legacy so far, but fair play to Carbon there. Great ultimate and saved his Twisted Advance to get away from Chippies instead of starting a fight against the already dead Fantix on Corki.
See whether Corki actually just valves on Orianna here. Shockwave is available, but he has heal.
Ouch. Shockwave being thrown out by Claire forces Fantix to use the package to get away.
Defensive again, and Claire just keeps using his ults. So, you know, poke him. Keep him at bay just a little bit, Fish, and try and get him to recall. Surprisingly for Fantix, he didn't start a Corrupting Potion. He went for the shield, as you can see on your screen. So has good sustain over time, but not that immediate burst of health that you would get out of a Corrupting Potion charge.
And finally, we see King go back to base and pick up his BF Sword. Lost has been sitting on that for some time, looking for a very accelerated Infinity Edge.
Yeah, and you know, contentiously you went towards a Cull earlier in the game, and I didn't get to speak about it, but people hate picking up Culls on Caitlyn. She's one of those champions that you would rather save the 450 gold and just make sure that you have your BF Sword 450 gold earlier. That means that King's like really frustrated with how this lane's going. He would not like losing against the Lost Cupcake lane. Destiny and King certainly feel like they are the best duo lane in the OPL.
And King has had very shaky performances in Split 1 and Split 2.
But I was going to say, it does not look like it at this stage. It looks like Cupcake and Lost well and truly have their number.
And they're one of the few duos that have not had any shaky plays. We saw Raze not have a great Split 1. Lost and Cupcake still look fantastic in Split 1. They still look great here. King went internationally and didn't look good at MSI.
Yeah, it looked actually really poor at MSI. I mean, people have said that Cupcake's champions should be called into question. I agree with them. I think Cupcake has historically had a very wonky champion pool. You know, the misfortune in the brands of Split 1 certainly ring a bell of when he was playing a little bit off meta. Then he went heavily into tanks and got rid of all the mages completely. But this game, they're certainly making it work. In a tank meta, Braum should be one of the kings of the support.
And he's always been picked very heavily in priority by certain teams. Legacy are one of those teams. Soul Strikes values the pick quite heavily. And that has given them a natural advantage in the bottom lane, as well as the first turret being picked up. Split the goal between Lost and Cupcake.
Yeah, 2,000 gold now, the lead. You can see they're shoving up in the mid lane, although Claire being caught again.
Yeah, he's going to get locked down. There's no way out of that one. Just caught in a choke point, and good Tornado charged up by Destiny.
Yeah, that was a greedy ward take, to be honest. He had stepped in on the side of the map of Direwolves. That kind of gives Direwolves their first real win condition, because top is down by 15 CS already. You can see that Tally just looks completely in control of that lane. Bottom lane, obviously massively far ahead. 4 kills and a turret, first brick going down. But mid lane, Claire is looking a little shaky in a big game.
He does. Oh, Tally, he just wants to fight everyone.
I mean, look at the damage he gets in return, Fish.
Nothing.
Nothing. There is no disadvantage of taking that trade. You burn some mana.
Tally actually gets a positive trade there with the shield as well, the health regen from his passive.
Yeah, going for the Courage of the Colossus. Not my favorite mastery on Gragas. I prefer Grasp, to be honest. But you can see how much it helps him out in the team fight phase.
At this stage, so he should just go Thunderlords.
No,
he would have killed Chippies.
No, none of that. You're a troll.
Meanwhile, top side of the map,
if you ever go Thunderlords Gragas in my game, I am like legitimately reporting you.
I can't wait for our next match. Meanwhile, top lane, that turret's going to fall nice and easy here for Legacy. They swap Lost and Cupcake early. They get it. Destiny tries to shield it out. Can't do enough.
Yeah, I mean, they're just rotating Lost. This is kind of what you do with Caitlyn, to be fair. She's a wrecking ball at this stage of the game normally if you're ahead, but Tristana takes them quicker.
She does it better if she's ahead.
Yeah. Shern caught out a little bit here. Does have to back away. It's going to be a Rift Herald started up.
And I believe it's between level 9 to 12 where Tristana actually equalizes with Caitlyn in terms of range. Can't remember what the exact number was. But Rift Herald is going to be picked up by Legacy here, and they only have mid lane Ada to take down.
I mean, and this is one of the reasons that wave clear mid laners are becoming, a little bit easier to deal with, because if they ever step up to defend this, you've got a Gragas cask, you've got Maokai that can dive, you've got Cupcake that can follow up. There's Claire, ninjas some Raptors.
Thanks, Carbon.
I would, yeah. Don't do that in solo queue.
Benched.
Obviously, he would have asked Carbon's permission. Leave your junglers Raptors alone.
Carbon, he's been having a good game so far. 0-0-3, but has been crucial in all the kills except for the one solo kill picked up by Lost and Cupcake in the bottom lane.
Yep.
Everyone from Legacy backing at the same time except for Tally.
Chippy's going in here onto Tally.
Schoenfire throws out the ultimate, does lock him down. We'll get a double stun here, but Tally separates them.
Really nice ulti out of Tally there. You can see that pins Shern against the wall so he can't continually chase Fish. Doesn't send him in the direction that Tally's going to walk out. And also gets rid of Chippies, who's like 90% of the damage in that trade. After Shern had kind of used his abilities, he's not following up with anything else. So Tally reads that one really well. The veteran of Legacy, I mean, we don't talk about it a lot because Jimmy's still a young guy, but has been playing for them since that 2014 summer performance.
I mean, he's stepped up as the vice captain for Legacy as well. And since then, we've seen him have much more solid performances in the top lane. A crucial part of the team. Always a big team player as well. But as things stand, Fantix has his power spike of Trinity Force as well as Boots too. Bottom lane though, Lost, it's an Infinity Edge in comparison to a BF sword. Lost is well and truly ahead in this matchup at the moment.
I mean, they did catch it. Oh, that's a tilter.
Cupcake!
That is a tilter.
Get him!
Braum Q, not the highest damage spell in the game. You do max it, so it's not like a Rakan Q or something like that, but still able to pick that one up. Means that they deny it from Fantix, which is way more important than having it on Cupcake. That's just the icing on the cupcake, if you will, Fish.
Goodness, Cupcake's about to punch people to death, Small. He's feeling confident after that steal.
Don't need a blue buff to do that, mate.
True. You put the shield up more.
That
punch
is
him from behind the shield.
Technically true. Does he like kick or something when he crits Braum? Supports have the weirdest crit animations ever because we never see them, right?
I have no idea how he
pretty,
crits.
Like, oh, maybe
it's
pops
Sion
over the
that
door.
kicks. I
yeah,
know
Sion
kicks.
He pops over the door and just gives him a little cheeky jab. Smacks him in the gabba.
Yeah, the punch does more damage than the actual shield itself, which is ironic. But Direwolves is still 2,000 gold behind Legacy in this game, and an Infernal Dragon that was picked up. Rift Herald was not dropped by Carbon, so now it gets dropped in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I mean, this is just going to be a free turret. There's no way that they can really defend it. trap line way too far up, and one card will be able to, clean that one up. See whether they can continue here. Going to at least get a second charge off Fish.
See if they can get it in time. They do. Shield comes out from Destiny, but there's still a solid chunk on the mid lane enough. Can't be too unhappy with that play.
Obviously didn't watch this week's War Room. Showed exactly how much you can get out of a single Rift Herald use, but nonetheless, they get the minimum.
Yeah, that one's brought to you by Jack Sponsorberry. Meanwhile, Direwolves looking for a fight. They do lock down Carbon, who gets his ultimate off before he dies, but it's still going to be a 4-on-5. Cupcake now in trouble. He's going to flash away. Great ultimate. Tally jumps in, has everyone for the Direwolves around him, only taking out the support, but sends both Chippies and Fantix back into team. Shockwave, massive one, but it's already a double kill. But everyone for Direwolves so low. Lost gets a double. Chippies jumps back in. He wants to kite this one out, but can he? Chippies, he cancelled 2 auto attacks. Will finally get the shutdown. Claire looking for the kill. Will pick it up, and what a sloppy team fight.
Certainly is. It's a 4-for-4, but Claire was late and the teleport took time to channel, which means Direwolves get the crucial shutdowns coming in. Fish puts them back within 2,500 gold, and that gives so much money over to Chippies.
But look at the score for Lost. He's 7-1-1.
And that's fine. I mean, the 5v5 team fight will still be in their favor. They've still got the Orianna, Gragas, Maokai combo. But Chippies goes back. He's nearly got the makings of his Blade of the Ruined King now. And this means that the split push is a legitimate threat. Let's take another look at it. Crucial to spot Destiny out. He walks the long way around. So even though they blow up Carbon, what should be a quick escape from Cupcake, he gets pushed into the whole team. Has to burn ultimate. And this just means that they're fighting from so far behind. Credit to them, however. I mean, this turns into a 4v2. And they win the 4v2. From this stage on, they pick up 3 kills for 1. Really well executed out of both Claire and Lost. As we said, Chippies, couple of auto attack cancels there. It's not what you want to see. Don't know if Claire really needed to flash there. A little bit antsy, maybe Fish.
Better safe than sorry. It's still a legacy. They're 3,000 gold up now. A lot of that is sitting a Lost to his 7-1-1 with his static shift complete. 9,003.
All of it is sitting on. The gold lead right now is Lost. Lost and Cupcake, the 2 with the lead. Shouldn't caught a little bit here, but should be able to win the 1v5.
It's absolutely no damage, Brom. I'm happy to go toe-to-toe against these champions.
Mid laners are just pilfering jungle right now. Back in the tank meta. This is when you know you're really in a tank meta. When you don't even get camps anymore as a jungler.
Yeah, it's 80 CS to 99 at the moment between Carwood and Schönfire, whereas mid lane is 214 to 200.
I would love to see Seaman try and take Fade's camps. Ooh. There is no way that would ever go down.
Yeah, suddenly there'll be team friendly fire enabled and Fade's kicking Seaman out of the camp.
Decoy would start mid lane.
As things stand. Direwolves still on the back foot here. Legacy looking very strong. Tally's still very comfortable split push against Chippies despite the Trinity Force pickup.
I mean, I think when it gets towards Bork or Gunblade, depending on what Chippies picks up, that would be very interesting. Ooh, one thing I wanted to talk about. The other reason Gunblade's good, and this is not talked about all that much, is the way Jax's passive works is he gets MR based on his AP value. So because Gunblade gives you both of them, he's one of the few hybrid carries left in the game. You know, Akali being arguably the other one. He's able to get a lot of magic resistance by having some AP. So if you're against like a tank, Gunblade actually a pretty good item to be able to give you some resistances from that ultimate. Grandmaster's Might, I think it's called.
Jax has been historically the hybrid champion who can pick up items like Rageblade. I mean, Kog'Maw is one of them, but he's just a unique butterfly.
Yeah, Kog'Maw is kind of like ranged Jax, I guess.
Let's see. Direwolves are forcing a fight. They lock down Claire and the package is delivered. He's still alive. Can he get an ultimate off? He can't. Deleted by Chippies, but it will be Fantix to follow shortly after. Lost is left untouched in this team fight. Double kill is picked up by Chippies and Legacy caught snoozing there.
Yeah, and one more time, they're a little bit late to that team fight, Legacy, as you mentioned, and they do get one of their carries blown up. Tally now going to run into a couple of members. Did body slam forward, so he's going to get stunned.
And he turns back for the fight, separates the team. No one's here yet. Carbon's trying to come back in. Still looking for this fight, Tally. That's a big mistake and questionable decisions coming out.
And all of a sudden, Chippies has 6 kills.
Ouch.
As big as we've been saying this Tristana is, Jax is equally as big, Fish. And Chippies, with the levels, is going to have a much easier job taking over this game.
And I understand Legacy getting caught out in that mid lane, unexpected engage there, but Tally, he was away. He was out of that fight. There was no more gap closers left. Turns around for a brawl and gets stun locked.
Yeah, the big news story is still the fact that Legacy is sitting on Drakes, because this game is pretty much even. 1,000 gold, 22 minutes in, that's nothing to write home about, but they've got the Infernal Drag, and with such a good team fighting 5v5 comp, as Lucio said, that is the area that his team likes to play. And they should still have the opportunity to get there.
As you mentioned, though, Chippy's going back to base and cashed in 2,200 gold. Blade of the Ruin King already picked up for him. Warmog's complete for Schoenfire as well.
Yeah, he must have been sitting on heaps of gold. Fantic's going for Rapid Fire Cannon.
And Infinity Edge finally complete for King. I mean,
He's
it is
still a whole zeal item down.
It's a triple item loss. Direwolves, as a collective unit, are hitting their power spikes. Carbon's gone for the Knight's Vow.
Cool. Let's talk about now how Chippy's playstyle kind of changes that he has sustained. So now Chippy's can actually walk past Tally and hit the turret a couple of times. Doesn't really have to worry about Tally's damage anymore, because he's never going to really die, and then he can heal back up. But
Teleport's coming into the fight. Carbon picking a strange fight here, as Tally's going to knock the tankiest member of the team, and Chippy's follows through. So much damage coming out from Losto, shredding through them one by one. Tally gets that first kill. Lost is trying to rocket jump his way into the front lines. Questionable coming out of Carbon, but Lost just rips through them at the moment.
yeah, exactly right. I mean, you're not that tanky. Lost has got 3 completed items, and with the jungler dead, and Maokai's passive being absolutely bonkers at this stage of the game, Fish, they should be able to look towards Baron, and they'll be able to pick this one up.
Yep, this is going to be forced from Legacy and smited away easily by Carbon. Big power play from them.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, 1 pick into Baron, all of a sudden what was only 1,000 gold is now back out to 3. And Legacy are going to be in the driver's seat, because as good as you are at split pushing right now, Chippies, against a Baron up creep wave that Tally's going to execute towards you, you're not going to be able to get it done.
And is this one of the situations where Schoenfire perhaps could have gone back towards the Knight's Vow? Because without any armor, he's getting demolished by Lost.
I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, you've already set Claire a little bit behind. He's not going to be pumping out massive amounts of magic damage. And Lost was the biggest problem in this game. So I think at the minimum, you should have gone towards Tabbies as opposed to, you know, CC boots and Treads. Because you're right, Lost is hitting him right now, and he's dying real quick.
Lost has even gone back to base and picked up a QSS for himself. So very defensive. Double Knight's Vow has been picked up by Legacy as well.
Also, for the first time in ages, we're seeing junglers really fall behind in levels. Lost is 2 levels above his jungler. Mid laners are 3 levels above them. It's been... Since the jungle rework of how long cooldowns go on for junglers and the catch-up mechanic was introduced, a little bit of a fight here, we haven't seen junglers fall this far behind their own team. Like, obviously, if you're on a losing team, it's hard to get your jungle back, but Carbon's had access to 2 sides of the jungle and is still 3 levels down on all of his team members.
I mean, historically, junglers have always been above the bottom lane duo, but behind the solo laners in terms of experience. As you mentioned, he's even with Cupcake. And on the side of Direwolf, Schoenfire is even with King. So very curious how the meta is changing at the moment. But Legacy, they're pushing in very far forward. Lost is going to take a lot of damage, but he does get the mid lane in a turret, trying to heal off this creep wave.
Yeah, it does so. Of course, even though it doesn't have Lifesteal, that Warlord's Bloodlust that 80 carries pick up right now means that when you get to 100 charge, gives you that big spiky heal, Fish. A little bit of movement speed to boot, if you don't mind.
I mean, Ocean Dragon as well being picked up by Legacy. Should top them off nicely later on.
Well spotted. And 8-1 and 2. He's 50 CS up over King.
Goodness, make it start.
King does have an Ardent Sensor, however, coming out from Janna.
Yep.
I think we actually saw Marta from KT. Talk about that later.
Tally going for a bit of a force there, whereas the rest of Legacy, Claire and Lost dealing tons of damage to top lane inners, using the Baron buff quite effectively here, Legacy. Taking out all the inner turrets. They spot Chippy's bottom lane without teleport, so they could potentially force for this inhibitor.
Yeah, I mean, they looked for it briefly. Flash Body Slam combo was available for Tally, but they do successfully back away. I mean, you can't really hard force onto Sejuani Janna, as we said, in Champions. So, like, they have to want to fight you as well. This is the first turret of the game going down for Direwolves. The gold lead is all turrets, Fish. I mean, 4,000 gold, 4 turrets down. Maths roughly checks out.
And it's 4,000 gold in Lost's favor at the moment.
Yeah, he's just holding it. He holds the key to the city at the moment.
And it's about 1,000 in the mid lane for Claire, but top lane evens that out.
What I was going to say is, did you see in the LCK where Marta bought an Ardent Sensor before he bought his Sightstone?
Oof. You would have been yelled at for that.
Not saying that I'm a fan of it, Fish, but I'm just saying it has happened somewhere in the world. Of course, Deft He's an 80 carry, unlike many others in the world. But Lost doing a very good job of replicating those feats, at least on an oceanic level. Let's not get too carried away. I'm not calling him death, but he is a very good player over in this region.
Yeah, meanwhile, Cupcake's going for the more tanky roam route, picking up the Locket as his second item. Once he's picked up the Knight's Vow, gives it a bit more shielding.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if Fantix velts into your backline, you need to give Lost an opportunity to be able to put out a couple of auto attacks to deal with it. Big ulti coming out of Carbon here.
Yeah,
they might fall.
Throwing it from Fog of War will lock down everyone from the walls. King does not get locked down, but good ultimate coming out from Tally separates them.
I mean, not really a good ultimate, Fish, because they've just burnt 2 crucial summoner ultimates, and they've got absolutely nowhere to taking this turret.
There is a teleport ward behind, but I doubt Chippies will go for it. My goodness, King almost gets one shot there by Claire. Cheeky ultimate being thrown out by Orianna.
All right, so they burn 2 ultimates, they get nothing. Claire ults once, walks up by himself, and they're going to be able to take a damn lot from this. Summoner spells burnt out of King. They're going to be able to pick up 2 turrets for their trouble.
Yep.
And this will nearly be the straw that breaks the camel's back, because now they have access to the base.
Yeah, King and Fantix forced out. Even some of the spells being burnt by the 80 carry. Inhibitor at just below half health. Let's see if Direwolves go for the force. Churnfire incredibly low, does lock down Tally, and Chippies wants to jump in for a fight. Counter-Strike and to dodge out a lot of the damage. Winter's Bite does not connect coming out from Cupcake. Legacy holding their ground still. Good trap line being placed down by King.
That's a lot of damage. I mean, Tally, he's a tanky dude, but you still have to worry about the armor shred. Comes out of the take shot.
They lock down Claire again. He's going to get jumped on. Double stun for Chippy. Shockwave will save Lost's life. He's still in this fight, but just barely. A stray skill shot will kill this 80 carry. Doesn't matter. He jumps back in and gets a kill.
Yeah, top laners fall down. However, the inhibitor does stand, and there are big creep waves for them to be able to pick up. You can see that they're discussing whether they re-siege, given how big top lane is. Instead, King is going to be able to get himself slightly back into this game, Fish, by picking them both up. And a minute until Baron means that save of the top lane inhibitor, bottom lane inhibitor, will be really crucial for Direwolves.
It's starting to get scary, though. Lost is on 6 items. Mercurial Scimitar has been picked up.
Come on, Longsword does not count as an item. He should sell that,
Sorry,
and
5
he should get himself a pink ward. That is the control ward, sorry. That 100% does not count as an item.
Yeah, somewhere in Sydney, Egen is incredibly tilted by the MK from Legacy.
Even from the mid laner of Legacy, he's sitting on a Dark Seal with only 3 stacks and has no potion. That should also be a control ward.
But instead, Lost trying to
This is your Baron setup, Legacy.
Let's see what they do here, though, because the Direwolves don't have good vision over the Baron at the moment. They have Jax split pushing in the bottom lane against a non-super minion wave with teleport available. And 3 Baron wards that are hard to sweep out in succession from a single sweeper.
I mean, on the flip side, whilst we're criticizing, the fact that control wards haven't been picked up, they do have good vision already established on Summoner's Rift. Just because Direwolves haven't been there for a pretty long time, Fish. And at the same time, Direwolves haven't picked up all that many control wards but themselves. So, I mean, it goes 2 ways. Both teams playing the same kind of game, being very greedy with their gold. Not really setting up the map the best.
A very early Mortal Reminder was picked up by King as well.
Makes a lot of sense with Maokai Gragas being the 2 tanks.
Even Cupcake jumping into the front lines occasionally. Redemption was complete by Destiny as well. So with Ardent Sensor, that's going to give him massive boost to the heals and shields being dished out by that support. But Legacy pull the trigger on Baron straight away. They're committing for this. That's a teleport coming in from Tally. Churnfire is looking for a steal, and Chippy's is teleporting for a fight.
So they want to fight this, Legacy, because they stop damage and they know that Churn is on the wrong side.
They throw out the Maokai ultimate. That forces everyone from Direwolves back, and they don't force a fight. They don't even force the Baron take. Instead, Legacy trying to peel off. Tally throws his own ultimate out. That's 2 massive ultimates down for Legacy.
Yeah, why didn't they just do it there? They saw, they had vision of the area. They saw how far away Direwolves had to back. Now they go back to the Baron, but Lost isn't there, not hitting it, so it's not falling down all that quickly. Now it will start to be shredded, but Churn still has access here, Fish.
Direwolves are collapsing. Trap lines being set by King to give him a bit of a defensible spot. The ball is being pushed up aggressively by Claire. Legacy, do they burn it? They do. They get it. Churnfire tries to steal, but he can't. Tally, meanwhile, trying to avoid these traps, does so successfully, taking absolutely no damage. Cupcake now jumping to the front lines to block the shots. Destiny is a single auto attack away from death. tagged by Winner's Bite, but Dire will successfully disengage.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's a nice setup. I mean, they could have done it a little bit cleaner, but in the end, Tally is able to posture very aggressively on the Gragas. Sure, knows he can't get access. He actually throws his ultimate at Lost, who has a QSS, of course, available, so that means absolutely nothing. And now Legacy's going to charge into the base.
Oh, and they just collapse onto Fantix. They take him down easily. Cupcake's jumping further forward. He's an absolute monster. They've locked down King as well. Double kill picked up by Claire.
Yeah, and Claire is popping off after getting killed a couple of times in the laning phase. The mid laner of Legacy looking to carry his team to a Game 1 victory with the help of the Tristana.
Let's see if they can put up a fight here. The Direwolves, 3 members alive, but Nexus turrets are falling. Sherfire jumps in. Shockwave does a lot of damage to Chippies, who will jump back into the back lines, but the Nexus is under siege. Legacy, since Rift Rivals, have looked fantastic coming back from an international event. Lost is charging in towards the fountain. Finally, they'll hit the Nexus, and Game 1 of this series goes to Legacy.
I mean, honestly, Fish, that is probably the most comprehensive victory we have seen over Direwolves this year. That was an absolutely beautiful performance put on from the Legacy lineup, and they don't even look excited about it. That's the scary thing. They know that's a Game 1 victory. They know they have to come back out and at least do it one more time. But that Game 1 is something, if you were a Legacy fan, you should be very excited about.
A big statement as well. We saw the words being thrown out by Direwolves, how confident they were, almost cocky to say, coming into this match, that they would stomp Legacy. Cupcake stood his ground. He was ready to talk the talk, and he's walked the walk in Game 1. But it's still a best-of-3 series, and Direwolves have bounced back from Game 1 defeats before.
Yeah, they certainly have. They were able to do it the other week against AV. But still, I think that's a different kind of victory because they got dominated in that bottom lane. 2v2 kills coming out. Carbon, I mean, arguably his outpathing Shern looks like a really good jungler in the OPL. And I just feel like across the board, apart from maybe that mid lane matchup, which, you know, Fantix was able to get a couple of early kills. Yep. Legacy came out ahead everywhere.
They certainly didn't, and with those victories, small victories on the map, able to pick up Game 1 over the Direwolves very decisively as well. But to break down that game further, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. And Legacy taking an early 1-0 lead over Direwolves in this series. Jesh, going into this, you were very confident the Direwolves were able to take the series. But, I mean, you know, after that performance from Legacy, you got to be questioning yourself. Or are you going to stick to your guns?
I mean, I'm just going to stick to my guns because generally when you change on the desk, you just get roasted for it. So, no, I'm still... I said 2-1, so obviously I'm still a slim chance. But, yeah, Legacy did look really good that game.
Yeah, Legacy, I guess... Their bot lane was insane. There's not much to it. Like their bot lane actually, their bot lane actually popped off. And one thing I'd like to mention is your boy Carbon doing really well in the tank meta.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever works for us oldies. The tank meta, good on him.
Well, going back to the bot lane, what a performance out of Lost, Jesh. I mean, let's talk about Legacy's bot lane. Is this the best bot lane in OS?
I mean, they really have such a strong claim for it at the moment. You know, starting here, like, you know, King's already died once and he's gone back and bought a Cull, and they're just sitting under the turret taking pot shots, thinking they can try pressure this lane. Legacy have shown that, you know, they're not scared to use Tristana and Braum as, like, a really aggressive lane, and that they will, like, you know, jump forward, ignite you, like, and go for the kill. And they just get so much control that, you know, it spills over into the rest of the mid game for them with just like such a powerhouse AD carry that, you know, we don't expect to be good later in the game. You know, it's like so accelerated.
I don't think there's really an excuse to lose lane that hard on Kate Janna, especially if you're picking Caitlyn Janna, you're specifically picking for like lane. Like you just can't lose lane on that matchup. And when you do, when Caitlyn falls behind, it just offers you next to nothing. And I think that's what we saw. Yeah,
when you pick Kate Janna, you've got to take a turret 7 minutes in. That's what we've seen. That's the bar has been set. That's what you got to do. But Jules, it felt like Legacy, when they did get caught out in the game, and on a couple of occasions they were always able to usually claw something back, right?
Yeah. When Claire gets caught holding summoners, you can see here, he just gets caught. He holds summons, then he burns the flash, which is not ideal, misses the shockwave, and then Carbon just comes in and he's just like, wait, I've caught these guys out. And then it turns out Carbon might be caught out here as well, just due to the numbers disadvantage, but Legacy played this really well. You'll see here, Tally's Gragas looking really clean, gets like a 3-man body slam, and it's just cleanup duties for Lost here. And this is pretty much what sets Lost on the way to like just becoming a 3-item Tristana at like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah, you know, we see them, they're fighting on the wrong side of the map. Like, so Legacy have like the inside track for their bottom lane. Lost actually is quite sneaky, walks into the Dragon Pit, like jumps over the wall, gets the fight well before King. As we said, you know, he gets the resets, jumps over into Red Pit, then flashes over, gets the last kill sort of thing. Like, you're just unstoppable.
Yeah. One uncharacteristic thing I'd like to say actually from Direwolves was their teleporting in at like that early into the game on a Jax. Like, Gragas is just infinitely more useful at that point in the game than a Jax. And that's very unlike Direwolves. They've been known as kind of the team that likes to sit in lane, push their lane advantage and get leads in their lane. And from that TP play, they pretty much lost any advantage they had in any lane.
So we did talk about this during the last series when we were talking about like how to play against or with Jax using the teleport. So in this instance, you're saying that when you teleport into a team fight early on as Jax, you're just not that powerful when you're going up against Gragas.
The only time that you probably want to TP into a fight as Jax is when A, the top laner doesn't have teleport, or B, you have 2 items.
Yeah.
If you have 2 items, maybe you can TP in, but then your 2 items are still better spent hitting a top tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's obviously like you can't play a champion that he can never team fight. So he can, you know, he can dive into fights and he can be there to team fight and things like that. But it does seem strange to prioritize, you know, fighting an early skirmish that was already sort of like, you know, lost just based on their positioning. So yeah, questionable. I think from Chippies there definitely probably reviews that one and thinks probably not going to do that again.
Yeah, well, he wasn't the only teleport mistake made during the game. But I want to go back to talking about Lost because I felt like he occasionally was going late to team fights. Did you agree with that? I think a couple of times he turned up late in some of them.
Yeah, so it's just like this, I guess he is like not the best example. His team is sort of like looking to get out of the blue buff area after taking it. And you know, they just, Direwolves realize that they really have to like force a fight here and start something happening. He actually gets knocked out of the fight again by Janna ultimate, which is pretty good from Destiny. And then Claire too is late from the fight, but I think it's just a slight miscommunication, you know. They're just looking to reset their waves and start pushing out again, and then they get caught and have to collapse. So a pretty good job from Legacy to extend that fight out as long as they can.
And just this, so good.
I mean, yeah, like at this point, they're just trading kills. You know, like such a prolonged fight. Everyone's used their summoners. Most ults are down. You know, they're just like picking up whatever they can. Which, you know, to Chippy's credit, he actually picked up a few kills and he looked like quite threatening. But yeah, it wasn't enough.
Specifically in that replay, though, that's not. I don't think that's Lost's fault rotating late.
Right.
Like the whole idea behind AD carry in mid lanes, inside lanes, is you want to shove those lanes, get them like pretty much into the opponent's half, and then walk in for vision. At that time, their lanes weren't prepped. Tristana had to shove bot lane. Orianna had to shove mid lane before they walked in for vision. And then Carbon and Cupcake just went in way too early. They had such a lead on their AD carry and mid laner that like that fight turned out pretty well. But if that was an even game from there, that could have turned out like pretty poorly for them. But yeah, so rule of thumb, shove your lanes before you walk in for vision, and then that stuff can't happen.
Yeah, when you shove your lanes, obviously you just force someone to show up on that wave and catch it under turret, and then you know you have like numbers advantage when you move in, which is, you know, not exactly what Legacy did there.
All right, so having talked about the team play during that game, let's talk now about the drafts because there's some stuff here I want to ask you guys about. Legacy third ban was Trundle. Is that just tank meta? We're banning all the tanks now? Is that what this is?
So I think Trundle is one of those more niche flexes. Some people pick him up and play him support, and you know some people still playing him top lane split pushing. So I think the one thing that Trundle does really well, obviously, is that he just like shreds through tanks and it makes it very easy to target them down. You know, mentioned a handful of times that Carbon is a tank player. Cupcake also a tank player too. So you know, if you're looking to probably pick 2, 3 if tallies on it, tanks in your lineup, then you know. Trundle is just like the best champion almost into them.
Just echoing Jish, that's why we've seen the resurgence of Trundle is because of the tank meta. That ultimate is just invaluable. It doesn't matter what the rest of the kit is for Trundle. That pillar is really nice as well, but the main thing for that is the ultimate and just shredding tanks. And I guess Legacy knew they were coming in with at least 2 tanks. Like they may even have picked 3. I'd say 3 tanks. Braum.
No, they had definitely had
3 tanks. So that Trundle just makes sense. We don't want to play against it.
Speaking of Braum, do you think in a couple of weeks we're going to see everyone just like first picking Urgot against a Legacy just to destroy the...
For the viewers at home that don't actually understand that is...
I don't understand that.
Oh, you don't get it? Oh.
So with Urgot's, the way Urgot's new ultimate works, if Braun jumps in front of a carry,
with the
puts his shield up, puts his door up, and he's 100% health, like full HP, he will get one shot.
Yeah.
And it's intended. I believe they've said
right. I think
intended.
someone from Right tweeted like, this is working as
it's
intended.
Yeah. So if you ever want to counter Braum in solo queue, guys, pick Urgot, ultimate his shield, and he's off the map.
So good. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Cupcake will have to deal with that in a couple of weeks when the new Urgot comes out. But let's take a look at these damage graphs, and obviously Tristana just shredding through everyone in this match. And I feel like Tristana's resurgence has to do with the tank meta as well.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think, you know, you can get away with a lot of lanes now that there aren't as many mage supports being picked, and, you know, generally have like slower paced bottom lanes too. So you can pick it, and then obviously as well, she does a lot of damage through her crits to tanks. Something interesting I think that stands out here is that we talked about the mid lane damage share of before this first match, and it's actually quite even. I mean, in terms of percentage, obviously Fantix takes it here because he did way more damage than his counterparts, but damage dealt, you know, Claire and Fantix actually looking, you know, pretty on par still.
For a game that kind of Direwolves weren't looking like they were ever going to win after those early skirmishes, Fantix did a lot of damage that game. And I guess that's also due to Fantix having a big front line to hit. Like, he's hitting Maokai, Gragas, and doing damage to them. But Claire, obviously, held his own, did a lot of damage with the pressure that was put mid.
And speaking of doing a lot of damage, I know we do sometimes pick on Carbon a bit, but he did more damage than King in that game. So
I think that speaks less about Carbon as it does about King's Caitlyn, you know. And he's actually like a really good Caitlyn. We saw him last week have a fantastic performance. It's just their lane phase, you know, it wasn't up to par. The Kate China lane really has to win the lane for it to be like a viable pick, and they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's almost not solidified, but it's put that list that Aaron Choo Choo's made on the desk a few weeks ago. It's thrown it up into the air again. Is that really fourth place Direwolf bottom lane? Because if you looked at that game and you looked where Legacy kind of won that game, you could put forth a case and say yes, that looked like the discrepancy.
He said Chiefs were fourth place, by the way.
Oh. Third place then. I'm sorry. We'll find out on Sunday where the Chiefs bot lane is.
I'm not still emotionally scarred, don't worry.
But
how dare you take that award away from Jish's team?
But you kind of you kind of wonder, like, is that playing on their mind? Because has that affected them? Like, I don't know. It's sure it was just a list that was set on the analyst desk, but after losing a game like that, is that playing on the back of your mind? I'm not sure.
Well, it does. I mean, historically, we've seen in the last couple of weeks, Direwolves do take that first game to warm up, right? And then games 2 and 3, they're like, all right, we're playing serious now, guys. Hands on the keyboard, you know?
Yeah, no, last split in the NALCS, we all made fun of TSM for being like the 3-game series team. And you know, it didn't actually have as much of a bearing on standing and things like that because like the points weren't so close. But yeah, TSM historically were very slow. They always made mistakes and things like that. And not to say Direwolves necessarily always do the same. They're always making mistakes in draft or anything. But obviously we have a close pool of teams right now. And Direwolves, they don't look like they're hitting 2-0s, but doesn't say they went 2-1.
My problem with giving away games like that is even in the games Direwolves are winning, their early game is not clean. And so when you verse better teams like Legacy and you're going to give them that 2 to 3k gold lead, it's very hard to recover. Even last week, Direwolves, when they versed us, we won game 1. In game 2, they gave us a 2 to 3k, 4k even gold lead. And I mean, against a team that's not going to throw that lead like we did, can you actually risk that? I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, if you're watching at home and you're a top laner, please do tweet at us, #IMOPL. Let us know your questions about the top lane matchup, about anything really. But I would say Chippies into Tally is a spicy little matchup, so do tweet us about that. But that is all from us here at the Analyst Desk after that game 1. Let's take a look at some highlights from that game.
Very aggressive game. Cupcake jumps forward, gets the tag, flashes on him as well. King's going to get locked down. No more flash available him. Good exhaust coming out, but that's going to be first blood picked up by Lost. Carbon in some trouble, taking heavy damage. Good smite to keep him alive. Tally jumps in with the body bump. Chippy's the first to fall. They stun Lost Fire, but there goes Lost. Looking for Fantix. Splashes on his face for it as well. Good damage coming out from this Estrada. Well and truly accelerated, as that's a double kill for Lost. Tally jumps in, has everyone for the Direwolves around him. Only taking out the support, but sends both Chippies and Fantix back into team. Shockwave, massive one, but it's already a double kill. But everyone for Direwolves so low. Lost gets a double. Chippies jumps back in. He wants to kite this one out, but can he? Chippies, he cancelled 2 auto attacks. Will finally get the shutdown. They lock down Clan. The package is delivered. He's still alive. Can he get an ultimate off? He can't. Deleted by Chippies, but it will be Fantix to follow shortly after. Lost is left untouched in this team fight. Oh, and they just collapse onto Fantix. They take him down easily. Cupcake's jumping further forward. He's an absolute monster. They've locked down King as well. Double kill picked up by Claire. But the Nexus is under siege. Legacy since Rift Rivals have looked fantastic coming back from an international event. Lost is charging in towards the fountain. Finally, they'll hit the Nexus, and game 1 of this series goes to Legacy.